Okay, now that we've confirmed that we've got the likes feature all set up in the API side of things, let's head over to the client and deal with that next. So I'll close all of this stuff down. And first of all, we're going to create a service in our Angular application. So let's open up the terminal. Let's find a spare tab, and we want to be inside the client folder when we do this. And I'm going to say ng s for service and say underscore services / likes, and we'll say -- skip - tests and press return. And let's now open up our new likes service, and inside here we'll configure this for a new functionality that we've added on the API side of things. So first of all, we'll add a class property for our base URL, and we'll set this equal to environment, and I'll have to guess. And okay, so we want to make sure we get it from environment, and we don't want to see the word development in there, else that will cause us a problem later, I expect. And we want to set that to the API URL. We're going to be injecting our HTTP client into here, so I'm going to say private HTTP equals inject, and HTTP client that we get from Angular Common HTTP. And we also want somewhere to store our like IDs as well. And we'll see how we're going to use these soon, but I'm going to say like IDs. And this is a good thing to use a signal for, once again. And we'll use signal, and this is going to hold a number array. And we'll just set it to an empty array initially. And we don't need a constructor, but we just need to add our various functions. So I'm going to say toggle like, and we'll take in the ID and the number. And that's the target user ID. So I'm going to say target ID instead of just ID, so it's clear what we're doing here. And I'm going to say return this.http.post, and inside here in backticks, so we use a template literal, I'm going to say $, and list.baseURL, and then say /likes, / and then $, and then target ID. And because it's a post, we need to send something, so I'll just send up an empty object in the body. So do watch out for the URL. It's quite easy to go wrong here and forget to add the / in between the base URL and likes. So we definitely need those / where I've specified them there. And that will take care of the like toggle. Then we'll add one for get likes, and this is going to take a predicate, that's a type of string, and we'll return this.http.get, and we'll use the template string approach again, and we'll say $, and we'll say base URL, and then /. I'm starting to doubt myself on whether or not I should be using a / here actually. So I'm not sure. I'm going to have to go and check what I put inside the environment.development.ts, and we've got the API / there. So on that basis, I got it wrong. We do not want a / because this is going to be something API / and then we want likes and then the target ID. So if you did take my advice to put the / in, please take that / back out if you have your environment file configured the same way that I do. And then we don't need the / there, so I'm going to say likes and then question mark, and we're going to say predicate equals and then $, and in curly brackets we're going to pass in the predicate. And then we just need another method for getting the like IDs, which takes no parameters, and we're going to return this.http.get, and this is going to return a number array to us. And we'll say in backticks $base URL, or list.baseURL, and then to the right of the curly bracket we're going to say likes / list. And in this one we're actually going to subscribe inside here because we want to set our like IDs to what we get back from our API here. So we might as well just use the subscribe function inside here, and then in the next we'll get the IDs back from the server, and we'll say list.like IDs, and because it's a signal we can use set and pass in the IDs. Now for our user interface, we're going to utilize this to display on the member cards whether or not another user likes another user. And we're going to need to call this method when the user logs in or when the application starts, when they refresh their page. So let's head over to the account service first of all. And inside here, we've got our methods to set the current user. And this would be a good place, or inside this function to set the current user would be a good place to go and get the like IDs. And to do that, we're going to need to inject into our account service the like service. And we'll say private like service equals inject and likes service. Do be careful when injecting services into services. It's fine if we do this, but if we needed to use our account service inside the like service, then we're going to have a problem because that would cause a circular dependency. So we're fine to do it as long as it's just one way. And then we can utilize this, and let's go down to our setCurrentUser method. And we're going to say list.likeService, and then use the getLikeIDs function, which then updates our signal that's storing the IDs, and that will accommodate when a user logs in. But we also need to think about what happens when a user refreshes the page, and we'll need to go to our app component.ts to handle that. And we've also got our setCurrentUser functionality inside here. And we've got this account service current user set, but since we've got the setCurrentUser method inside there, then we can just say setCurrentUser and pass in the user, which will also have the same effect of calling the like service and going to get those IDs. So let's now head over to our member card and just show an example of how we're using this. So we'll go to our member card component.ts, and we'll need to inject our like service in here. So I'm going to say private like service equals inject and like service. And then we can use a slightly different type of signal because we're going to effectively work out from our like IDs signal whether or not the currently logged in user likes a user. And when we want to work out a value from another signal, we can use a computed signal. So I'm going to say it has liked equals, and we can use computed, which we get from Angular Core. And inside here, this takes a function. So we'll add parentheses and add an arrow, and then say list.likeService, and then we'll check the like IDs, add parentheses, and we'll see if this includes list.member.id. And we can use this information in the member card and display a heart icon, for example, to show that the user has liked that user. So let's open up the member card component template. And where we've got the icon here for the user, below this we'll display an icon to see if the user has liked another user. So we'll use the control flow for this. So we'll say if, and then we'll check for has liked, and computed is still a signal, so we need to use parentheses there. And then we can add an icon, and we'll give it a class of fa-heart, and say ms-2, and we'll give it a style, and say color is red. And if we go and check our progress here, we can see that Todd, the user that Lisa liked, has the heart symbol, and none of the other users do. And if I refresh the page, it remains. So the system works. So next we'll add the functionality in the client side so that the user can actually click on a button for a user and either like or unlike that user.